proclamation. And to give you our thanks, dear Lord, express our thanksgiving for the many blessings you've given us. We're so blessed to live in the country that we're in, our great state, and our great community. And we lift up our prayer, dear Lord, for asking your blessings upon us, that we will live our lives in a way that please you. And now, dear Lord, as we address the business of the city of Newcastle, give us good insight, good discernment, dear Lord, to make good decisions on behalf of our city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'll call the July 14th, 2025 meeting of the Newcastle Public Works Authority to order. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Carl Nell.
Here.
Gene Reed.
Here.
Todd D'Amico.
Here.
Mike Fullerton.
Here.
Marcy White. Here.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action on approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion is second for approval of the agenda.
Gene Reed.
Yes.
Todd D'Amico.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 3, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for any citizen to comment on any matter related to the City of Newcastle Public Works that is not on the agenda. I might remind any potential speakers that speakers shall clearly state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person with only one speaking opportunity. Board members will not respond to comments or questions. The chair may end discussion, end the comment period at his discretion, and prior authorization is required for distribution of materials or to approach the board. Public comment concerning Newcastle Public Works. All right, seeing none, we've got an full consent agenda. Is there any member of the board that would desire any of these items to be removed and addressed individually? All right, seeing none, item number 4, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second for approval of the consent agenda.
Gene Reed.
Yes.
Todd D'Amico.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 5, discussion of possible action on items removed from the consent agenda. Be no action on that agenda item. Item number 6, presentation by Superintendent or Assistant Superintendent of the Mid-America Technology Center, North Campus proposal. Sorry, grab my chest, please.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Mike Eubank. I'm superintendent at Mid-America Technology Center. Been at Mid-America since August of 1993, and I've seen lots of changes and progress happen over the years, and also seen us waiting a long time to build a North Campus. So it won't take a lot of your time, but a brief history. Mid-America was established in 1968. We originally just served 14 schools in Garvin, McLean County, and a couple in Cleveland. Over the 3 years after it was established, we built a building and had our first classes in fall of 1971. We had 14 programs, again, serving 14 high schools, a couple hundred students. That first 25 years of school was in existence. We had a building fund millage in between 3 and 5 mills, because following that main building, we built 14 outbuildings to support our increased programming. And over the next 25 years, we also gained 4 more high schools. So in 1995, we had 18 high schools. We dropped our building fund millage back to 1 because we'd finished the construction phase of that campus. Beginning about 10 years ago, we noticed a crisis that these communities on the northwest corner of our district are growing faster than we could keep up with. And you're probably aware we purchased property on Highway 9 and May Avenue in 2000 with the intent of building a satellite campus, not a full campus. But over the past 7 years, we've discovered that's not enough property. So we've been shopping around trying to find a 60-acre plot where we could build a duplicate full campus, just like we have at Wayne, to serve this northwest corner. Our Bridge Creek, Blanchard, and Newcastle kiddos have to drive 35 to 40 miles to get to school. A lot of parents won't let their children do that. We understand. But we would like to better serve this corner of the district by building a school. That need to build 700 to 1,200 seats capacity in a technology center means that we need to re-increase that building fund millage. Like I said, we dropped it from 5 back to 1 in 1995. We would like to increase it back to 4. We'll actually have an election August 12th where the voters will have the opportunity to vote yes to increase that to 4 mills. That 4 mills will provide the funding we need to build another campus. Once that campus is complete, my board 100% agrees and supports that we would have another election to lower that down to a reasonable amount to provide for continued upkeep of that campus, probably 2. But there's no reason for us to keep it at 4. There's no reason for us to raise it to 5. We think we can accomplish everything we want to at 4 mills. The cost of that 4 mill increase, I've seen lots of fun figures and lots of interesting math, especially on Facebook. That 3 mill increase will account to about $60 for the average home in McLean County. And the average home in Garvin County, a little less than that, is going to be in the $40 to $50 a year tax increase. So that $40 to $60 tax increase will provide the students in Bridge Creek, Blanchard, Newcastle. We are discussing Washington as an option, Noble, Little Axe as options, and Dibble, because it would be closer for each of those schools to come here. Initially, our start would be for Blanchard, Newcastle, and Bridge Creek kids. And we would need to build 5 to 7 programs pretty quickly. And the way we can do that is to have a building fund increase. I think that's my 10-minute speech shoved into a couple of minutes, but would be glad to answer any questions.
So y'all did something almost unheard of, and taxpayers ask you all the time to lower the millage rate until needed.
Yes.
So you lowered it back to 1 and until you need it now.
Yes, sir. Superintendent Don May at the time recognized, along with the board, that we weren't going to continue to build. We didn't continue to need that building fund. So we lowered it down to 1. That supports the operation and maintenance and upkeep for our existing campus. But until we're back in construction mode, not needed. I've been trying to find another school that lowered their millage. I've not found that yet.
Well, I've heard people, I have seen comments about it'll never go back down again, but I didn't know that. I didn't gather that the other day when I heard from you, so that's good. And also, you can't just build and gather excess money anyways if you're not going to use it, because you're under a lot of constraints by state laws, just like school districts are.
Right.
So you can't just sit and build your pot over there and not do anything with it, right?
Correct.
So,
yeah, if you carry over, you have to get permission to be an access carryover, the same as K-12 schools. So we've been saving money until we could build a building, which has allowed us to carry over money till we build. Then it's not a problem anymore. Just we spend it.
And then also, I have a second question. It's not like a school bond. Can you explain the difference between this and the school bond?
Yeah, so a school bond is a set shorter term and a much higher tax rate, and for a specified purpose. Typically, you may see we're going to build a library and a baseball field. Ours is building fund millage. All of our schools that we are associated with, including Newcastle, operate at their full 5 mill capacity. We are one of 3 tech centers in the state that operate at 1. And so it's a permanent, because it's called a millage, that was set permanent in the year 2000 until another vote happens. So it's, in addition to it not being a short term, it's a lower rate of taxes. Our friends and neighbors across the river just did a $90 million bond issue. As a system, our technology centers are asked not to do bond elections because we compete with our sending schools for the same money and we affect their bonding capacity. I know Newcastle Public Schools is in a giant growth phase right now, and you need that bond money. So we have a gentleman's agreement with our sending schools that we won't do bonds.
Yeah. And then also to clarify something else that we were discussing the other day, who votes on this? Who exactly are the voters that will vote on this?
So our 18 school districts who pay taxes, who pay property taxes for Mid-America will all vote on it. That's all of Garvin County, all of McLean County, parts of Grady. I think we have 6 precincts, parts of Cleveland, parts of Pottawatomie, parts of Pontotoc, parts of Johnson, and a little bit of Stevens down on the southwest corner.
So it's by your school district is the easiest way to know.
Yes, by your school district.
And you go to your regular voting location to do so.
Yes.
Let me ask this, will any student be able to transfer in between the 2?
Yes, our goal right now is to not build unique programs at either site, so you wouldn't run into that. If you run into an overcapacity problem and they needed to switch off, absolutely. If there was a unique program offered, absolutely. But our goal is to have a fully functional campus on this side of the county so that won't be an issue.
I also love what I heard the other day that I didn't know. What do you teach? That was a really good one, and I think it's really impactful for our people to hear that, because I had no idea, and I was like, wow, that says a lot for your goal and what you're supposed to be there to do.
So you've given me a softball to one of our taglines, is that our students earn more than grades. We're preparing students for 34 different, very specific career fields, and some of those are generalist areas. So if you're going to become a nurse, that is a specific career field, but your end direction is endless. But we have 34 full-time programs that serve high school students. We also have licensed practical nursing and line worker that only serve adult programs. Our job is to prepare students for the jobs that are available in our district. And sometimes that's misunderstood. Why don't we offer some classes that other tech centers offer? I have to be able to prove to the State Department of Career Tech that a student can get a job in district before I can fund and build a program.
I love that. That's great.
Ballpark figure, you talked about it.
Right.
Coming back down later, what do you think it might balance? Just,
When could it come back down?
well, when and what level?
I think we would need two to be able to, again, to operate and maintain two different campuses. I think that would be reasonable. My very optimistic best case scenario on construction, which I've had several developers laugh at me, but 15 years to get a duplicate campus. It took 25 to get our Wayne campus built. So that's probably not reasonable, but it's optimistic.
And I guess the next question would be, if the bond passes, how quickly would construction start, and how quickly would we have students in seats?
So again, very optimistic. I would say if we get a yes on this August 12th, and the city of Blanchard gets 55th Street at least rocked where I can get trucks in, I would like to break ground in spring. If we break ground in the spring, excuse me, best case scenario, maybe for that 2, 3, 4, or 5 programs, August of 27. That's absolute best case scenario if everything falls into place perfectly. That would be my timeline.
How do the local schools see this? Is it like remarkably favorable to them?
Very, especially to my Garvin County schools, because their students are getting turned away due to we get so many more students from this side of the county, and we're limited capacity. So this year we actually turned away more students than we enrolled. And that means we could build a whole school right now and have it full of students who were told no to maybe that dream they had, maybe that job that they really need. But we've told no, and we're not providing that service well to this side of the district. All of the SUPs I've met with are all supportive of it because they get those same phone calls that I get. Why didn't my son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, friend, neighbor get in? Why did you tell them no? Why did you put them on a waiting list? And that's a hard question to answer, especially, again, if that's a dream or a hard set goal. Maybe it's what my parents did, and I'm going to take over the family business. But we're saying no to too many kids. Superintendent's report.
And I told you, but I'll say my daughter ended up going, I wouldn't let her drive the Wayne, wouldn't even let her try to get in. So she would have been on that list. Her private school, technical school, tuition was $12,000.
And guess how much would it have been at Mid-America? 0.
Yeah. But it was, I didn't want to listen to her say she wanted to drive her car, and I wasn't going to let her, so.
We currently provide what's called a Next Step Scholarship to our classes that serve high school students where they go free till their 22nd birthday. Tuition free. Your property taxes have already paid their tuitions.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This evening. All right. Item number 7, discussion of possible action on adjustment of utility account number 11-3000-01 at surface address 300 Harding Lane, good for Flores Caro. The applicant or representative here this evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Not exactly sure what to say other than my water bill was $880 and some change. And when it came in, and when I called and asked them, she told me, she was like, oh, I thought that was strange. I was wondering what you were doing, which brings me to my first point. maybe if you guys notice something that's off, maybe an email can be shot out. But I do not have a pool, and I have myself and 2 children living with me. And I also brought all my paperwork from January to June of how much my bill was, and last year's April, May, June, and July bills. It has not exceeded over $170. And I do know that Cox was doing work in the neighborhood, laying lines, marking water and electrical lines. So that's the only thing I can think of, because she said it mysteriously stopped on June 2nd. She asked if I had a leak fix. And I said, well, if I had a leak that size, I'm pretty sure I'd know about it. But no, I didn't have anything leaking, didn't have a leak fixed. As a matter of fact, I was at the hospital with my best friend on June 2nd because it was her surgery day. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what to do about it, or she just told me to come up here and tell you guys. So,
So water usage is back down to the normal range, is that what you're saying?
yeah, like if I can, I mean, I don't care if it's like the average of what I use. Last month was probably my highest bill before this one. I don't even care if it's that much. I think it was close to, well, I was late on it, so it was around $250, and if it's a late fee, but like, I don't even care if it's that much. For $880, there's no way. I might as well shut off my water and live without water.
I checked with Pete this morning, and she's on track for about 6,000 this month.
About 6,000 this month, so back down to a normal level.
Yeah.
So there was something that happened.
Cox was doing the construction, and they're digging up people's yards and stuff, so I don't know if that had something to do with it.
No, that should have had nothing to do with it at all, because Cox would have been out in the easement, not on private property behind the meter where your service line is at.
Okay.
Unless they were connecting lines to your house, then that would be a potential, but you would notice it in your front yard as well.
Yeah, that's what I would figure. If I had a leak, I would know.
Right.
So you never even saw water in your yard or anything?
Absolutely nothing.
Kevin, is this an area where we put new meters in?
It is, the whole town has been done. And I talked to Vita this morning about that as well, make sure that meter is operational. She said it's been working just fine. So, which is evidenced by the graph. I mean, it was running just fine until we hit the May and June bill for whatever reasons. And now we're back down to.
Because it's in the middle of the street, right? Your
Yes.
house is in the middle of the
Directly in the middle.
subdivision.
Doesn't really seem all that water, although there's been a lot of rain, but still. I think it's seen a lot. It's crazy.
So typically, we look at these and we have some issue where there's been a leak and they've repaired the leak, and we know that the issue's been resolved and it won't be reoccurring. This one's a little bit different, although
Yeah.
it's gone back down. Hopefully, if we address it tonight, there won't be another issue where it pops back up. Where there is a leak that for some reason stops and starts back up again.
So what would you suggest on that? Would I need somebody to come out and like look, or? Because I know there's nothing inside the house. I can tell you that. We definitely know if there was something inside the house. There's no damage, like, because we already went through like underneath the kitchen, the bathrooms, the water heater, upstairs in the attic where, you know, the AC drips, and the pan. We looked everywhere.
We could be.
We could be slightly, but it would have stopped.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's slightly, so that's what's concerning. You know, I have no problems going ahead and adjusting this bill, this time.
Okay.
Because it is kind of odd that it would go back down to the prior level, so, if it does jump back up, then we'll be on you to figure out what's wrong and take care of the issue. So I would encourage you to stay in contact with Vita
Okay.
and make sure that there's no increase that she sees in usage over the next few months, that if it was a leak that for some mysterious reason sealed off and then starts leaking again, that you're able to catch that before it gets to an extreme bill like this.
Okay. Okay. That's
I'll make a motion to adjust the June bill down to the average prior 12 months.
Second.
Motion second for adjustment utility account.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Todd DeLeo,
Yes.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
You guys have a good evening.
Item number 8, monthly treasurer's report.
We're reporting on the last month of our fiscal year. So we're going to end up, we ideally would like to end up at about 100%. I'll start off with revenues for general fund. They're sitting at 98.7. Expenses for general fund were 96.7. So the revenues are within and the expenses are just slightly less. On the capital improvement tax fund, your revenues are 131.3%. The reason those are so high is because ODOT reimbursed us for the MRDAF grant that Jeanette did for us really fast. So it came in before the fiscal year closed and bumped that revenue up really high. The expenses did pick up because we did finish a couple projects there at 72.8. So there you are above the expected place we should be and then below the expenses. Revenues for NPWA finished at 89.2 and expenses for NPWA finished at 83.2. Those are also kind of low. I had anticipated being further along on our 2 OWRB projects and we did not finish where we thought we would finish. So that's what those are both less than where we expected to be. The fire department tax fund brought in $1,328,791. For the operations of our fire department, which includes our personnel costs, we spent $2,165,238. So that tax fund covered 61.4% of what we have to spend to operate our fire department. At the end of the FY, the way our 2 OWRB contracts are sitting, or projects, pardon me, for the wastewater plant, we now are at $46,691,206. For the water meter loan, we're at $2,648,298. Hopefully those do close up pretty soon. Have your final numbers. For the month of June, sales and use tax came in at $875,714 of that was sales, and $161,000 of that was use. Again, not where we wanted to end for revenues. We ended the month 2.9% below our expected income budget amount. And this June was 6.3% less than what last year's June was. And for the whole fiscal year, it was 2.8% higher last year. Our current indebtedness is now sitting at over $63 million. Again, that's the 2 OWRB construction loans. A quick rundown of one more thing before I give you the rundown of balances. We did post the wastewater CDs. Initially, we invested $5,300,000 when we started this process. The interest just on the wastewater plant fund, when I added it all together and we closed them, was $495,611.91. So almost $500,000 in just interest to help close that. And just a quick rundown of our city fund balances. General fund is a little over $2 million. Capital improvement tax fund is almost $2 million. Economic development tax fund is a little over $38,000. Cemetery fund is almost $49,000. Parks capital improvement is $213,000. Admin technology fund $188,000. Grant cost share fund $2.5 million. Transportation impact fee fund almost $100,000. City hall fund $63,500. The opioid abatement fund is $80,000. The PPFF fund, which is the public places and spaces fund, is $2,800. NPWA side of the house, your public works fund, is sitting at $3.3 million. Water impact fee fund is almost $800,000. Wastewater impact fee fund is a little over $1 million. Wastewater plant fund is $7.2 million. Your MMR fund is $337,000. One thing to note on the NPWA fund, that does seem a little high because there was an OWRB draw. The timing of the draw, deposit into our banking OWRB, and when I paid the app last fiscal year, so that's why that's not high. So that's a little deceiving, but that is what the balance was as of June 30th.
Yeah, that's a three.
Yes, sir. All funds, those draws can range from several hundred to a couple million. All funds combined, we finished the year at $20,039,950. Are there any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9, general manager's comments.
We've already kind of discussed the wastewater treatment plant. They are supposed to be doing functional testing starting this Friday, which will go for 14 days. If that goes well, then the plant will actually be operational after that 14-day period. Right now, we are installing. I know there was some questions I saw on social media about the digging and things that are taking place over on Northwest 16th. That is the sewer line that we're laying that will actually go to our new pavilion and restroom once it gets installed there in Veterans Park, and will also serve Windermere. This was the partnership that we did with the developer to get this sewer line installed. They're still working on the 12-inch water line on Northwest 24th. Speaking with the assistant superintendent this past week, sounds like they may go to Ross Drive now at this point and then work their way back toward Rockwell and have all of that put in until they can. What's holding them up at Rockwell, excuse me, is the relocation of the property owner's fence. They've got to get a new fence built, take the old fence down, and then they can continue with the water line through there. So they may actually go ahead and just go to Ross Drive and work their way back east. One thing with the new sewer plant, one thing that is kind of a holdup for us, won't hurt us on the functional testing, but it would at this point to some degree to open the plant completely, is there is supposed to be a head wall installed down at the end of the effluent line. And at this point, it has not been installed, just due to the river being so high because of all the rain. The pipe right now is still 2 feet underwater. So they're monitoring that on a daily basis, watching it, and we'll be getting in there as quick as they can to get the head wall installed. And it shouldn't take them very long once they're able to get down there. But
Does that make a difference on functionality, like do they need to move it back because it's up, or just they got to put it in and it's okay if the water comes back up over it at the same time?
it is okay if it comes back up over the pipe. There's no pressure going through that line. It's not going to make a difference.
So we're
That's what the engineer
down,
told us.
get it in.
And also at the head wall, it'll 90 up.
Yeah, that's right.
And you come up from the existing levels and
Okay.
come up before it exits the head wall.
Yes,
So it will rise above where it's currently at.
that's all right.
Thanks, sir. Item number 10, trustees' comments. Item number 11 is adjournment.
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion second for adjournment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. This time we'll call the July 14th, 2025 meeting of the Newcastle City Council to order. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Carmel.
Here.
Jean Reed.
Here.
Todd DeMico.
Here.
Mike Fullerton.
Here.
Marcy White.
Here.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action on approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion second for approval of the agenda.
Jean Reed.
Yes.
Todd DeMico.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Carmel.
Yes. Item number 3, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for any citizen to comment on any matter related to the city of Newcastle that is not on the agenda. I remind any potential speakers that all speakers shall clearly state their name and address for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person with only one speaking opportunity. Council members will not respond to comments or questions. The mayor may end comment period at his discretion, and prior authorization is required to distribute materials or to approach the council. This time is your public comment concerning the city of Newcastle. All right, seeing none, move to item number 4, consent agenda. Is there any items any member of council desires to be removed and addressed individually? All right, seeing none, item number 4, consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve consent.
Hey, Carl?
Oh,
May I speak from here? Is that what you're saying?
What are you wanting to speak on?
About a traffic problem.
Yeah, we'll go back to citizen comments, so, yeah. Please state your name and address for the record.
State your name and address for the record. Orvis McMahon, I live in South Newcastle. Anything else?
Well, what's your comment?
West of Loves, where the turnpike bridge is crooked, car coming from the east, and you're sitting down at the stoplight on the access road or stop sign on the access road, it just disappears for about 2 or 3 seconds. And if you're not very careful, and I was up there this last week, we were harvesting, and I was through there about 10 or 12 times. And probably those 10 or 12 times, there was 3 or 4 times we could have had an accident because I could not see the car coming around because they get behind the tree limb.
We will take a look at that.
Turnpike, I realize, but somebody from Newcastle needs to go up and just cut the limbs off of the turnpike.
Okay. We will take a look at that. Thank you. All right, back to consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second for approval of the consent agenda.
Jane Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White.
Yes.
Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 5, discussion of possible action on any items removed from the consent agenda. Being no action on that agenda item. Item number 6, discussion of possible action on recommendation of planning commission. Item number 6A, a public hearing, discussion and possible action on application for amendment to the 2040 future land use map from general commercial to mixed use residential by R&R Land Development LLC for Riverview Villages located in the southwest quarter of section 33, township 10 north, range 4 west, in Meridian, McLean County, Oklahoma. Property address, Northwest 32nd Street and Riverfront Drive, Newcastle, Oklahoma. Continued by Planning Commission. Item number 6B, public hearing. Well, do we need to continue that one, or do we need to wait till it comes up from planning? Yes. Okay. All right, item number 6B, public hearing, discussion and possible action on application for rezoning for PUD ordinance number 98894, plan new development, PUD plan new development by R&R Land Development LLC for Riverview Villages located in the southwest quarter, section 33, township 10 north, range 4 west, in Meridian, McLean County, Oklahoma. Property address, Northwest 32nd Street, Riverfront Drive, Newcastle, Oklahoma. Case number R2025-005, and it's also continued by the Planning Commission. Item number 6C, discussion and possible action on Planning Commission recommendation to approve deviation from facade requirements as described in the Newcastle Code of Ordinances, Chapter 154, Planning and Zoning, 154.101, exterior building, material and facade requirements, commercial and industrial zoning district for Brett Atkins, property owner, David Ostro, proposed buyer for the purpose of developing a Taco Bell restaurant located at Track 2C of Lamar's Landing at the corner of Highway 9 and Kendrick Court.
Good evening, Council. Janae Greenlee with the Newcastle Planning Department. This item is a request for the deviation of facade requirements of Chapter 154.101, exterior building material and facade requirements in commercial and industrial zoning district. This is the lot that is circled down on the left-hand side of your screen, Track 2C. This was done through a warranty lot split, creating these 3 tracks to allow economic development for a bronze that currently has a building permit at Track 2B, and then Track 2C for Taco Bell at 4451 Kendrick Circle. So basically, these tracks are all zoned currently IR. However, we have asked these applicants to come in with full facade of masonry requirements, meeting that 80% on all sides. Bronze had done it. However, Taco Bell in discussions, they came to us and asked if we could, if they could have a deviation of facade to allow a specific type of building that they are promoting. This is zoned IR, so the requirement for the masonry is only required on the street facing. However, this is what they're proposing. It's a kitchen X. So this is kind of the picture of what the building would look like. There is another picture of what the proposed building looks like. I'll go through in the next few slides and I'll show you the exterior requirements breakdown from the masonry and metal and windows and glass. So this is the east elevation facing Kendrick. You can see it's 44% metal, 15% brick that does not meet that 80% requirement. And then glass and doors are 41%. This is the west elevation. Again, you can see 61% metal, 30% brick, and 9% glass and doors. South elevation, 28 metal, 29 brick, 43 glass and doors. As you can see, there's a lot of glass for this type of structure. And then the north elevation is all metal. But I would like to go back to that, given the color that they're picking, given that this is a prototype, this Kitchen X that they're trying to promote. This will be the first one in Oklahoma. My understanding is the only other one that they have is located in Indianapolis, Indiana, but this is the new style of building that they are coming up with. The architect is here for the applicant if you have any further questions. Planning Commission did make recommendation with a vote of 5-0, and planning staff does support. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm not finding that on my map, so what's it by, like?
So let me go back. So to the east of this, so on this side of your screen, this is where the Loves would be located, and on the west side would be the Sonic.
Okay, perfect. That's what I figured, it was right in there somewhere, but it was perfect. Okay.
So, Janae, help me with the possible action part. They've not submitted a PUD to modify the 80% or the 154-101. Are you just asking for an approval through their site plan process, or what are we discussing the action of?
So it's currently zoned IR, which requires 80% masonry on the street facing side. And so this is in chapter 154.101. It's the exterior building requirements. So they're asking for a deviation of that requirement from the masonry.
They haven't turned in a PUD to modify that. They're just asking for this one item. All the other items for this property are in accordance with IR and the code?
Correct.
And when we did our facade requirements, especially concerning our overlay district, one of the things we wanted to ensure is that we had the ability to address and what we used back then was Cracker Barrel. When a Cracker Barrel comes to town, we're able to make exceptions for those type of typical structures for that particular end user that isn't going to meet our facade requirements. And this is along those lines. It's a standard for Taco Bell of their new prototype of what they're looking to do. Different. I'm not saying, I'm a masonry guy myself, but that's kind of what we've looked at in the past as justification is if it's something that is typical for that retailer that, and not just a one of. We've got burned a couple times on the deal, but it's been local type of developers rather than a chain, a retail chain. And so I'm pretty confident in this is a typical type of building that they'll be looking to build.
Didn't we do this for Ziggy's as well?
Yeah. Or was it
Scooters?
We did it for scooters.
Okay, I know one with the.
And we did it for the building that now has the lease in it. And we did it for Perry's West building on the west side of 62.
I would guess we should anticipate in that area to possibly see a lot of that. National brand items coming in with their own motif or facade.
And their theme is what
Theme.
Right.
So,
And Bronx will have it.
so are there any risk at all ahead of us that something may come and be part of that theme that we couldn't live with, or?
I think we future ones will address them individually should they come and request deviation, but I have no problem with this one. I think it fits our goals.
It's not a lot of blaring color. Honestly, they've come a long ways over the years from the orange and all those things. So like this is pretty modern and muted. You know what I mean? Like there's not a ton of color to it, so I like it. I think it's
kind of
good.
complements our area down there. I mean, it looks like a welcoming early design.
Yeah, I like it.
I try to do all the glass. I mean, I understand they replace glass, but we'll replace the brick with the glass. And that's, I don't like that. And opens it up.
I'm not paying their commission bill, so.
I think,
I don't want to get out of line, I mean, off the track, but it looks like the inside dining, I mean, still traditional, whereas I'm glad to see that. A lot of businesses are going more drive-through only, so it looks like a nice addition to our eastern part of our city.
Have they submitted a site plan, engineering drawings? What
So
process,
that
where are
would
they at in
come
the
with
process?
the building permit.
They're not,
They haven't submitted the building permit. So site plan review is done with the building permit.
so we don't know if any other requests that we made, because we haven't seen the rest of those plans.
With the deviation as far as what setback or
Setbacks,
parking.
Height, all those things.
So all those things should meet all of the requirements in the zoning district.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd just add that and Carl started this, but just to clarify, under the overlay district in our facade requirements, it contains the provision for them to ask for this deviation. So it's authorized. We're
That
not
was
doing
kind of my
anything.
question, so what was the mechanism, right? We're not going to
Sorry.
board of adjustment, we're not,
No.
right? They didn't,
This is
they
This
didn't
is
send a
what-
PUD or an SPUD, we.
it doesn't take any of that.
They can, with the overlay,
we
they can just
do it.
request.
They can
And that's
request.
an application through staff. to
May
come to
I,
us.
this is not in the overlay district.
Okay.
This is not in the overlay. This is in chapter 154, the exterior building material requirements.
Yeah, have it
And
up here.
in that
Yeah.
chapter, there is direction. If they want to deviate, it goes to planning commission, city
Sign
council.
up for that. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't answer that as thoroughly.
Yeah, no, that's, okay. that helps.
No, it's just not adopted. That's not adopted.
I agree with that. All right, is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve item 6C.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 16.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMonico,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
yes.
Marcy White, Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6D, discussion of possible action on planning commission recommendation to approve deviation from facade requirements as described in the Newcastle Code of Ordinances, chapter 154, planning and zoning, section 154.101, exterior building material and facade requirements in commercial and industrial zoning districts for Artemis Power Tech, Chris Sober, for the purpose of a warehouse located at 3455 Del Rex Drive. So before you give your presentation, my understanding that these buildings are already built
That is correct.
and they were built without a building permit,
That is correct.
and they currently do not have a building permit,
That is correct.
and they currently don't have engineered plans they provided the
Stamp
city,
plans.
and they currently don't have a business license.
That's correct.
So that being said, I know this was recommended by planning commission, but I don't feel very comfortable moving forward with this application until the applicant gets those type of things provided to City Hall, because there's a lot missing, and the fact that it was built without a building permit, we've got a lot, I think, to address before we're in a position to even look at any type of facade deviation.
Yes. And that is the recommendation of planning commission, that they made the, recommendation based on that they would receive the requirements for the building permit application, meeting the engineered stamp plans, and that has not been done. So, yes. I recommend that this would be continued to the next city council meeting.
This is located along 37, about a half mile from Cowboy Church, is that right? Quarter mile. Okay.
So I'll make a recommendation, we continue this item for our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
Motion second for continuance.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMonico,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6E, public hearing discussion of possible action on planning commission recommendation to approve application for rezoning from agriculture A, C, CC2 Community Commercial District to CC2 Community Commercial District for Wilson County Trust, Jim Wilson, located in the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of section 10, township 9 north, range 4 west, McLean County, Oklahoma, and adoption orders number 995, property address 1945 North Main, Newcastle, Oklahoma, case number R2025-006.
This item is a request from Mr. Jim Wilson of Family Trust, as the owner, to rezone from A, General Agriculture District, to CC2, Community Commercial District. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the aerial. Currently, that is the residence, and then there is also the machine shop, the mechanic repair shop located there. As you can see, the middle section, the ag zoning with the CC2, and then the future land use map is designated as general commercial. Basically, the applicant is wanting to rezone this property for future commercial development. Planning Commission made recommendation with a vote of 5-0, and staff recommends approval. The applicant representative is here as well. This yeah. So with this property, let me also say, yes, you can see there's floodplain. There cannot be anything built in the floodplain without floodplain permit or engineering plans if they do decide to go into that area. The current house will become a legal non-conforming structure. They can't expand the footprint. However, in CC2 in the future, if they wanted to keep the house, it can be a overnight watchman residence for any businesses that would be located there. So the house can remain.
Go back a slide, you think?
Yes, sir.
This is on Main Street. It says CC2 north and south of it.
Correct.
A portion of this property already CC2 zone.
Correct.
So it's very appropriate for that area of town. So.
Yeah, fronting right on Main Street. Several businesses to the south, and obviously through to the north.
The residents along the north is still intended to stay residents. Is that the plan?
On the property?
On the property?
Yes.
So it can stay residence, it just can't like change. Or how, what'd you say?
Technically, the house under CC2 it's not a permitted use. It's not an allowed use in CC2 unless it's being used for a night watchman. So in that manner, if it's used for that, it can be used for that. They can continue to live in it. You just can't expand the footprint of the house.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right, I got your opinion.
I move to approve item 6E.
I'll second.
Motion second for approval of item number 6E.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6F, discussion with possible action on adoption of the emergency clause, ordinance number
Move
995.
to approve 6F.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 6F.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6G, public hearing, discussion with possible action on planning commission recommendation to approve application for rezoning from A, agriculture, E2, urban estate residential, to CC2, community commercial district, for James L. Wilson and Cheryl D. Wilson, Revocable Living Trust, located in the northeast quarter of section 10, township 9 north, range 4 west, McLean County, Oklahoma, and adoption of ordinance number 996. Property address, 2125 Wilson Drive, Newcastle, Oklahoma, case number R2025-007.
This application is also Mr. James Wilson and Cheryl D. Wilson at 2125 Wilson Drive. Request from rezoning of A, General Agriculture, and E2, Urban Estate Residential District to CC2, Commercial District. I can say up front that the purchaser of this land is through tubing, so they can expand their facilities in the future. As you can see on the left-hand side of your screen up here, there are 2 proposed future buildings that they are planning on placing on the site. They will do a cross-access agreement, or they will combine these lots in the future. So they will be taking main access will be from the current site of through tubing, They will not be utilizing Northwest 22nd Street for large truck traffic. It's designed for residential subdivision, so they will not utilize that in the future. If they choose to locate a building off of Northwest 22nd, at that time, we will look at their permit application, have discussions with them, see what we need to do as far as any road improvements if they were to propose that. But from my understanding and talking with the applicant's representative and the owner, that they are going to utilize the through tubing access and have that cross access. The middle slide on the screen is the zoning. You have the E2 and then ag. They are going to, they're proposing all CC2, community commercial, and the future land use is congruent with this, with general commercial. Planning, this is the aerial a little bit closer. Like I said already, they won't be utilizing Northwest 22nd or Wilson Drive. The house, the same thing, can stay on the property, cannot be expanded once it goes to CC2, but it can be utilized for a night watchman. Planning Commission made recommendation of 5-0, and staff recommends approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is that one meets and bounds description right now? It's not platted.
That's correct.
What about the CC2 out front for through tubing now? Are those two tracks platted, or is that meets and bounds?
You're talking about the current through tubing?
Yeah.
I think it just is a meets and bounds. It is not platted. It's not platted.
Public comment concerning this agenda item? Entertaining.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion second, to approve item number 6.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, Carl Nix.
Yes. Item number 6H, discussion of possible action on adoption of emergency policy order 4996.
Motion approved.
Huh?
Make a motion.
All right.
Second.
Motion second to approve item number 6H.
Jean Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, Carl Nix.
Yes. Item number 6I, public hearing, discussion of possible action on planning commission recommendation to approve application rezoning for CC2 community commercial district, A agriculture, the CC2 community commercial district for Snow Enterprises LLC, located in the southwest quarter of southeast quarter of section 31, township 10 North, range 4 west, and then Meridian in Plain County, Oklahoma. An adoption ordinance number 997, property address 3521 Northwest 32nd Street, Newcastle, Oklahoma, case number R2025-008.
This application is a request for Snow Enterprises located at 3532 Northwest 32nd Street, rezoning from general ag and CC2 to CC2. This basically has 2 zoning designations on it. You can't have 2 zoning designations on the property and to develop it as commercial. As you can see, the aerial view on the left-hand side, the middle screen showing the dual zoning, and then it is the future land uses, general commercial as well. So the request is in line with the future land use map. The applicant intends to, in the future, do a lot split where she will, the north half of the lot will be one lot and have the frontage on the private road, which is Nancy Lane, which will have to be improved to private street standards. And she has frontage on Northwest 32nd as well. Planning staff makes recommendation for approval of R 2025-008, and Planning Commission made recommendation for approval with a vote of 5-0. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is here as well.
It looks like everything, it looks like the use is the same on both sides. Is that?
Yes, commercial use.
So was there a reason why it was a split zone? Was there any history behind that, or?
No. I
Not that it really matters, but.
and they zoned a portion of the property.
And now I'm still trying to figure out where we're at. Sorry. It says 35.
This is west, or excuse me, east
21.
of Del Rex Drive.
Well, it says 3521 on the agenda. Maybe he's got
It's where the old-
There's a typo, that's not the right address. It is correct on the map, but on the top.
So it's not 3532, it is 3521?
Yeah, that's for people, lawyers.
That's where I'm confused. I'm like, I don't recognize that stuff.
3521.
Well,
It's correct on the pictures you have below, but up in the top. somebody that accidentally done that.
yeah, our agenda says
Oh, I am
3521.
very sorry, I missed
No,
that.
that's okay. I'm just trying to
I
figure out like,
apologize.
where we're at.
It's 3521 is correct. I had the address is wrong on the power.
Okay, well, that's better than
Sorry.
the agenda. No, that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's better than the agenda. So what's the property there to the west, just for reference, so I can figure out where I'm looking at?
That Willow
So the,
Shopping Center, that was shopping center.
it's on the north side of 32nd,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not sure of the exact business. That's the 3599.
Oh, yeah, or any of them around it. I'm just trying to get my visual.
Storage are up, there's a storage facility to the east of this site.
Okay.
A mini storage on the east side.
Used to be a little quilting.
It's the old fireworks, it's the old fireworks stand.
Oh, Jay.
There we
I'm
go.
a, I feel like an old time, I feel like an old time Newcastle person for the first time. Okay, I know exactly where it is.
Okay, yeah,
Very good.
okay.
Thank
So it's
you.
all,
Well, it didn't come up when I typed the address in. It came up over way down by Taco Bell on Google Maps, and I was like, this is not working for me because none of that looks like what's over there. Okay, thank you.
the majority of everything through there is CC2, right?
That is
Yes,
correct.
Yeah.
that's what I was worried about. I was like, wait, the agenda's right, yeah. It's just that possibly. She's got the right thing on the map.
There's a
All right. I'm on the same page now, I'm sorry.
Okay, is there any public comment concerning this agenda item? All right. Entertain a motion.
motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion second to approve number 6I.
Jean Reed?
Yes.
Todd DeMeco?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Mark DeWitt? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Item 6J, discussion and possible action on adoption of emergency clause, ordinance number 997.
Motion to reject.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 6J.
Jean Reed?
Yes.
Todd DeMeco?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Mark DeWitt? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 6K, public hearing, discussion and possible action, consider an application for amendment to the 2040 future land use map from suburban estates to general commercial for residents Curtis, for Curtis Development located at tracts 15 and 16 Rolling Mill Position and subdivisions in the east, southeast border, section 19, township 9 north, range 4 west, McLean County, Oklahoma. Property address 1551 South State Highway 76, northwest corner of State Highway 76 and southwest 16th Street, Newcastle, Oklahoma. Reference with case number 2025-009.
So these items, I'm gonna present these together. This is the land use amendment first, and then the rezoning after that. So the land use is suburban residential, and they're making a request to go to general commercial and do a rezoning from suburban estate residential to PUD. That PUD has the neighborhood commercial shopping district in it, so it's CN1. So that's the basis of the PUD. The PUD also, initially was 70%, 30 masonry, 30% other materials. After planning commission, they made a recommendation that it be 80% masonry, 20% other materials. The applicant agreed to that. Also fencing, against, commercial against residential requires fencing. They are going to have a site-proof fence at least 6 feet tall on both the north and west sides of this lot. You can see this is located, if you look on the left side of the screen, this is located at 1551 State Highway 76. That's for approximately 4.27 acres. They have frontage both on Highway 76 and Southwest 16. All access for this proposal will be taken off of Southwest 16. That's what they're proposing now. They would have to go to ODOT to ask for any driveway cuts off of 76, but that's not what they're proposing with this application right now. As you can see, the middle screen is the zoning. the middle slide, and then to the right is the 2040 future land use. Right now it is suburban residential, and they're making a request to go to general commercial, just like it is on the east side of the road. General commercial on that northeast corner is a PUD for neighborhood shopping as well. Has not been developed yet. And on the south east corner is Mason Storage, and it's also a PUD. So this is the site plan that they're proposing. They're proposing a couple buildings with parking, access off Southwest 16th. Like I stated, they meet all the site setbacks. This is a conceptual site plan. They can come in. The PUD allows some flexibility with them with arrangement as long as they're meeting all the requirements for the drive aisles, the parking, the setbacks, the detention. They will be served with public water. There is not sewer available at this location, so they will have to use on-site sewer, which would mean that they would have to go through ODEQ to get that permit, which would be submitted at the time of building permit. We did have a couple surrounding neighbors show up for questions regarding access off of Willow Lane, which they will not be allowed to have access off Willow Lane. That's part of that subdivision to the west, and they will not take access like that. And it was just the screening requirements for the fence, and then a question about the dumpster enclosure. They didn't want to look at a dumpster, and we have enclosure requirements here, and it has to be masonry. So they will meet all of the landscaping requirements as well on the frontage for this lot. Planning Commission made a recommendation of 5-0 with approval, and staff makes recommendation for approval as well. The applicant's representative is here for any additional questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Would you remind me, on the previous slide, the southwest corner, is that, tell me what's on the southwest corner?
Future church.
Is it the
Yeah,
church still?
it's the future church. Yeah.
Okay.
Alan Holden, I believe is his name.
So I couldn't remember if that was still church property there, or plans for future
I
church.
think it's zone ag still.
It is zoned ag. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But this was, 3 of the 4 corners would be, commercial.
That's correct.
There is a church. Yeah, I think they do have a church on the property that's down there.
Yes. Backways and facets and features.
Do we know what, just out of curiosity, do we know what's going in there?
As far as, it'll just be a retail shopping center right now. We don't have any end users, like a donut shop or a dry cleaners. We don't have that. It just has to fit with, in the CN1 permitted uses. So it could be anything in those CN1 uses.
So we're about to see some key, another part of Newcastle with potentially good commercial opportunities in that intersection.
Yeah, Janae, what is our distance requirement from an intersection for a driveway from a major intersection?
200 feet.
200, and this is 305.
Mm-hmm.
I see they restricted access along the residential side, but they wanted, or not restricted along 76, which would possibly be DOT, which would be DOT anyway. But, and I don't know what DOT's distance is, but that intersection with the other commercial PUD and the self-storage in this probably creates a interesting intersection at 16th and 76. To have a drive on 76 in addition to 16th Street within 200 feet of the intersection is probably. How wide is the property at along 76? 305 feet. 305? Yeah, it's in 2 lots right now. So they could, is that right, Janae?
It's 1 lot.
It's 1 lot. Mm-hmm. So they could come all the way back to here, back to the forest north end. Good. The PUD, the purpose of the PUD is to modify the base zone in the areas that you want your development to flourish, right? Or that the proposed use of what you're going to design needs to be modified, but the zoning code needs modified for your property. So here they've not presented exactly what they're gonna do, but they presented a PUD based on CDN1. I didn't see a lot of sections in here that modified anything. It just lists all the uses, the same things through, regurgitates some of the same items. What exactly are they changing from the zoning with the PUD?
Well, they did change the masonry requirement.
They
It
did,
was
and I'm happy to see you
70%
brought that back.
30.
They brought that back to 80,
They
right?
brought that back to 80.
Yeah.
That was the one main thing I think that they changed. The heights, those are all the same. The applicant wanted to go with these. They did not really modify that much as far as requirements go.
What I didn't see a lot of modifications, so I don't understand the purpose of the PUD outside of the straight zoning.
Are there any?
I would like to, I mean, my thoughts are I would like to see lighting. Isn't there residential to the north?
Yeah, they did address the lighting.
They
in,
have specific lighting
downward,
section that's different
downward,
than.
full cut-off light.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, right now, we don't know if there's gonna be a parking lot bounced up on the north side or a whole string of lights or.
So
Okay.
all the lighting is required to be full cut-off fixtures, so it shines down and not out. For building lights and parking lot lights.
Do you require that during the site plan approval for the building permit process? Would that
Our current code does not state that. I use it as encouraging words to most applicants. Our future code will have that requirement that we're working through right now.
is the applicant here tonight?
The applicant's representative is present.
Good evening, Caitlin Turner, 525 Northwest 11th Street.
So can you help explain to me the purpose of the PUD if it doesn't modify the zoning code much at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So we met with staff multiple times before we actually filed a rezoning application. We went back and forth between whether a PUD or a straight rezoning application would be more favorable. I do this for a living, and typically we like to do PUDs because it does allow us to request flexibility, but also if there's an issue that comes up from surrounding neighbors or planning commission, we're able to actually address it in a way that has teeth in the event that it's passed and the ordinance requires the specification for the lighting or like we have with the architectural metals. So it's really just a way that oftentimes in municipalities, we go down the straight rezoning route and then there's one thing that maybe planning commission or city council wants us to tweak and we don't have the ability to do so. So then we're starting over with the PUD application to adequately address those and actually make sure that they stay required to make those modifications rather than it just being, a suggestion.
So
So
you
that's the
modified the facade regulations back to the
We
normal.
did do that, that's correct.
Did you modify the PUD for any of the residents that showed up to the planning commission meetings?
Yes, we did specify that the site per screening would also be required, not just along the north, but the west as well. And then we have the 50-foot distance requirement and masonry enclosure for the dumpster, which was the other comment that was made. So we did address those concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Any other, or any public comments concerning this agenda item? Any other comments or concerns from council?
Okay, next step, will this come back to us with, at all now, or will this item come back to us for any reason, once we approve this?
Not unless they came in and wanted to modify something
change
in the PUD.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just like any zone, they zone it as commercial.
Right, but it's a PUD, and I didn't know I just couldn't remember the next step, so this gives them the flexibility to as long as they follow the facade and everything requirements.
Yeah, Gene, they changed the facade back. When I first read it, it was 70%, which I had a problem with because why are we allowing to deviate from the code that all the other folks in town have had to build to? But they changed that. But to me, the PUD is really, it's pretty broad. It has a few items that they're held to, but the majority of that stuff could be done in the permitting process. But
to your point, the zoning permits controls it anyway, so.
it does.
Right.
It does. They don't define a specific use here. The majority of the time in a PUD or an SPUD, you might have a paragraph that would say, this is what we're going to propose, this is what we're going to build.
Yeah.
We're going to build a Tinker Credit Union, and here's what we're doing. And that use falls in the uses per the base zoning. And it could be at any other time also be allowed for any of the other uses. But this PUD doesn't specifically say, doesn't pull out one of those uses and say, this is what we're going to do there. It just lists all the existing uses in that general zoning code. Right?
That may have prompted my question about that. Normally by the time we're here, we have an idea of what's going in.
Yeah.
Well, and, in this, it's really more restrictive on the applicant than it is if they could have gone straight zoning and not had to provide a site plan for the zoning process and all kinds of necessary and other things. And now a PUD would allow them to come back in the future and request that we approve and revise PUD, which you can't do that if it's straight zoning. That's one benefit they get. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot of benefit of having the PUD.
They could have just turned in a rezoning application.
Right.
And done the same thing other than the exception of the dumpster and the lighting regulation.
Yeah, but like I said, the only difference is that they could come in and request that we modify the PUD, vote with the planning commission and council in the future. So they couldn't do that with this straight.
Right.
But and here we've not been provided a lot of information, like you're saying, buildings are there's some site plan information, but it doesn't say what they're going to be.
Which is it's more than we would have in a straight zoning.
Right.
Right.
True. But if you're going to present a PUD with information, I'm kind of used to seeing the details. So
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, it's not detrimental to the city, I guess, what I'm getting.
No, it's not.
We're getting more than a straight zoning, and they could have gone straight zoning and got the same thing they're getting. The exception, like I said, the ability to come back and revise the PUDs should they choose to.
If I could, I'd note, the planning commission thought this was positive in the extent that we did address the site screening on the west, which is along a road, which wouldn't have required site screening. And they've addressed issues that they might have complied with commercial zoning, but this way they will. And it was.
How many homes are down that street along the west? Approximate.
They're large acreage.
Yeah.
10 or 12.
House,
Yeah.
5 acres development back in there. The neighbor 2 down, I believe, is talked about. And one of my concerns when we looked at this was drainage. And they'll have to address that anyway. But he indicated to me the real drainage problem is farther west. So part of my concern really is.
Entertain a motion?
This one's K, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion approved in item 6K.
Second. Motion second for agenda item 6K.
Jean Reed?
Yes.
Todd DeMonico?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Marcy White? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 6L, public hearing, discussion of possible action on planning commission recommendation to approve application for rezoning to E1, suburban state residential, the PUD planning development for Officer Curtis, located at tract 15 to 16 Early Oak Division, the subdivision of southeast quarter, section 19, township 9 north, range 4 west of Wayne County, Oklahoma, and adoption of ordinance number 998 at the address 1551 South State Highway 76, Northwest corner State Highway 76, and Southwest 16th Street. Case number R 2025-009.
This is the rezoning piece of this for the PUD.
Motion to approve agenda item 6I, or L.
Second.
Motion second for approval of 6L.
Jean Reed?
Yes.
Todd DeMonico?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Marcy White? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Item 6N, discussion of possible action of adoption of the emergency clause, ordinance number 998.
Make a motion to approve agenda item 6M.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 6M.
Jim Reed.
Yes.
Todd DeMeco.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6N, discussion and possible action on planning commission recommendation for approve final plat of Town Center Plaza, land unit development, PUD for Newcastle Public Works Authority.
This item is the city of Newcastle is the owner and developer for the final plat of Town Center Plaza. This is 9.6 acres approximately, located at 250 South Main Street, which is at the southeast corner of Highway 62 and East Fox Lane. There is 6 lots. The preliminary plat has been approved. The rezoning for the PUD was approved. And this is the final plat and improvement plans. Staff has reviewed the final plat with the improvement plans, working with our design engineer, on all of the water, sewer, and, paving and drainage, meeting those requirements. This will allow us, once this final plat gets approved, that we can file this final plat and be able to have the ability to sell these lots for future commercial development. The final plat meets all of the requirements, and planning staff makes recommendation for approval, and planning commission recommends approval 5-0. I'm happy to answer any questions, and our design engineer is here, Sean McGraw, for any additional.
Any public comment concerning this agenda item? Before we get started? Okay.
I was just wondering if anything's really changed much since the last time we looked at the preliminary.
Council? I don't entertain a motion.
Motion to approve agenda item 6N.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 6N.
Jim Reed.
Yes.
Todd DeMeco.
Yes.
Mike Fullerton.
Yes.
Marcy White. Yes. Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 6O, discussion and possible action on planning commission recommendation for adoption of ordinance number 999, amending title 15 of the Newcastle Code of Ordinances, section 153.007, exceptions to regulations, plating required to allow an exception to the plating requirements on an existing lot, tract, site, or parcel is not subdivided into more than 3 lots, tracts, sites, or parcels, or more than 6 lots when existing lot, parcel, or tract is abutting a section line road and is zoned agriculture. Really not.
It's not, okay, break it down.
This ordinance amendment is to chapter 153.007, A1, D2 and 6, and I1 and I3, and it's under the subsection exceptions to regulations, plating required. So we have a warranty deed approval administrative process for the city for people that want to take a tract of land and to split it. And they can do that without plating as long as certain parameters are met and certain qualifications are met. Right now, currently, our lot limitation on warranty deed lot approvals is you can't create more than 3 lots through that process. We have a lot of applicants. We have a lot of citizens that come in and request to split their land. And so sometimes they get a little bit confined because they want to split it usually for family members. And when they can't create more than 3 lots, they're trying to come up with creative ways to find out how they can make that. A lot of times they have to make a private road so they have enough frontage. What this is doing, this ordinance amendment, is basically saying, if you're on a section line road and you're zoned ag, because we don't have to deal with frontage and we don't have to deal with access, which ends up being sometimes a big issue when people want to split their land if they have narrow frontages, but it's really long, so this allows a little bit more flexibility for, property owners to own ag property with large, quarter section, and they have that frontage. And so it gives them the ability to create 6 lots instead of the 3 lots.
Okay.
And you have to be zoned, and it's on a section
Okay.
line road, so
All right.
So, to be on a section line road, and it has to be
Let
zoned,
me get that report.
be zoned ag. So those are the parameters to have that 6-lot creation.
Makes sense.
We also are cleaning up the section under plating required. If you, in this section as well, that, the dedication or abandonment and vacation of any street, we added public utility easement because it's in another section of the code, that if you plat, or plating is required if you're going to dedicate any easement to the city. So we just are cleaning that up. That's what that section, I3 is. Initially, we had a water requirement that you had to be served by public water. During planning commission, we had a couple discussions, because if you have 5 acres and you could have the ability, if there is not water available, you could drill for a well. So we didn't want to take that out, and because people didn't have public water, that they could potentially still get water through a well, which would again be ODEQ for any permits like that. But it does meet the minimum, that 5 acres meets that minimum requirement for ODEQ for them to drill a well. So staff recommends approval of this ordinance amendment, and planning commission recommended approval with a vote of 5-0. I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Well, one thing you said, so we do a lot of, have 5 or 10 acres. And you said long and narrow,
Mm-hmm.
and you said something about access,
Yes.
requiring access. So
Yes.
you're still going to, so if that property owner wants to split it up, you're still going to have to demonstrate access to all of those, right?
That's correct.
So
But
what-
it's only ag, so each one of those resulting lots must be 5 acres at least.
and remain in ag.
Remain
Correct.
on.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Has to be zoned ag, remain ag, and have the frontage on the section line. That alleviates the road requirement and the frontage and access
Is
requirement.
there a frontage requirement as far as distance for the lot? Is there a lot, minimum lot?
Yes, 150 feet.
There's probably comment concerning this agenda item.
This is, right now as it stands, if you had 20 acres, when you subdivide to 3 lots, you take one for your house, you can only do 2 more,
Correct.
right?
Right.
So this would allow someone to separate their family spot
Mm-hmm.
and 5 more lots, right?
Great, 6 lots
6 total.
together. Mm-hmm.
And as it is now, there's workarounds, so you could do your house and you could deed it to one child, and then that child could split it up and deed it to 2 other siblings or aunts or uncles.
I was wondering about that.
There's workarounds, so this makes it where you don't have to do the workarounds.
Awesome, he says.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd have to plant it, right?
Yes, so if I'm coming in and I want to do an ag development, but I want to create 10 lots, I'm gonna have to plat it.
Just take away that requirement.
Up to 6.
Up to 6, up to 6. 6 total lots created.
So basically, if you were a small developer, you could come in and buy 20 acres.
It's all gotta be along section line road.
Mm-hmm.
Be along there,
Put it
20
right
acres.
You can't
Yeah.
go in with it, right? Or, and then you start doing private roads or whatever,
Right.
and then you got a whole nother.
Then you have to move the plating.
Yep.
Okay, motion?
Now that I understand, I make the motion to approve agenda item 6. Oh.
Motion second for approval item number 6-0.
Jean Reed?
Yes.
Todd DeMeco?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Marcy White? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Item number 16, discussion of possible action on adoption of emergency clause, ordinance number 999.
Yes, motion 6P.
Second.
Motion second for approval item number 6P.
Jean Reed?
Yes.
Todd DeMeco?
Yes.
Mike Fullerton?
Yes.
Marcy White? Yes. Carl Nell?
Yes. Maybe the longest planning commission session we've had in a while.
Well, we get past P.
Yes.
Q, R, and S.
I'm out, forget to
Let's
see.
start over some.
Yeah.
Item number 7, discussion of possible action on partially vacating city council approval of street and road project for fiscal year 2025-26 by removal of the following projects. Item 7A, Walker Drive Bridges A and B. And before I'll have Kevin do some explanation on this, I talked a little bit earlier about the fact that with the pressing infrastructure needs we have with the turnpike coming in, and we're relocating some of those things. Turnpike's paying to relocate the existing infrastructure, but we've got to do things like get utilities on the other side of the turnpike that aren't there now, and we're taking this opportunity to upgrade and upsize some of our utilities. So in order to have the money to do that, and 24th Street we're trying to get done in coordination with the turnpike rebuilding of the bridge over 24th, we're basically, we're not going to have enough funds to do the things we had hoped to do, plus be able to address all the have-to-dos because of the turnpike. So that's why we're where we are on this.
Partly developed.
Yes.
Makes sense.
You agree? No, that's basically it. And the only thing I can add to that is that it cuts out about $1.3 million in projects. We still have projects that we're doing this year, of course. There are a couple of projects, Quail Run and Richland Park, that have to be overlaid and redone, or both we're going to lose them, basically. And those two will actually be done with traffic impact fee funds, not our 70% money. And then also there is still some engineering that's going on for Northwest 24th. There's still some phase 1 and phase 2 of the Ridge drainage project that we have to pay for, and that's still ongoing. So when you do the calculation on all this, the money that is being saved by eliminating these projects, and then the projects we're still going to do at the end of this budget year, potentially, theoretically, we'll have about $500,000 saved back. Not a whole lot when we're talking 2.9 million, just for Northwest 24th Street, to get that done. But Northwest 24th is going to come, fairly quickly. I mean, we're a year and a half out, maybe 2 years, before the bridge on Northwest 24th is replaced by OTA, and Northwest 24th Street, our road, our part of it, has to be done, or at least coincide with that project, so it matches up. Otherwise, we have a bridge to nowhere.
Right.
So we're going to be trying to save as much money as we can this next year, in 26, 27. I would not expect to see a whole lot in the way of road projects, and trying to put as much of that back as we possibly can.
Well, administrative question. These are items that we as a council had approved
in the budget.
In the budget.
Yes.
And if we had not taken this action tonight, we still would not have done that. But taking this action just gives you the opportunity to reallocate the budgeted dollars.
That's correct. Or basically just hang on to it, just to save it, rather than spending that money.
So rather than just leave it undone, take them off, or what's the term, vacate them, and then you will bring them back to us as opportunities arise.
Hopefully at some point. Now, we are still going to go ahead and continue with Walker Bridge C, which is the 100-foot bridge. They were supposed to actually be moving in equipment today out there for that project. So there's still a lot of projects and a lot of money that's being spent, but we're eliminating quite a bit as well. So.
Well, I mean, we're not having to pay for anything for that bridge by Love's either, which is why it's good for us to widen 24th, because that bridge between the Revere means that it's not out of our pocket, right?
Very correct, yes.
15 years ago, when we were really looking at doing that, our share was going to be $2 million at that point in time. That's 15 years ago. And in discussions with OTAs, they anticipate, so the prior project they had was driving forward. This one is access, this 15-year, which now I think they're shrinking to 10-year. Their next incarnation of whatever they call their next grouping of projects, probably in 10 years to 12 years from now, they anticipate 6-laning 544 down to Chicken Shack. And so these bridges they're building, like the one there by Love's, are going to be wide enough to accommodate 6 lanes of traffic underneath them. So now it's even more expensive. We're talking, their estimates are somewhere between $9 and $11 million for the bridge now. Before we were talking about a $4 million bridge, and we were going to paying half of it. Now it's going to be a $9 to $11 million bridge. So in talking with the Turnpike director, he tells me, we'll probably replace those bridges, we would have anyway in about 10 to 15 years. But luckily, we're getting that first one as a part of access, and we're working on some other things potentially.
So two more for sure, right? Is there only two more that are left?
No, we've got three more.
Three more?
So, but we're actively pursuing possibilities for the country club bridge. And so we're in talks with that, and so hopefully we can get something done on that as well. But that's, we got a lot of talking to do on that.
They're voicing our hand and we say we don't have money to do the country club bridge. How's that work?
They don't do it. But they'll build
They're the
it.
ones that want the 6 lane underneath it though.
Well, and they'll do that in 10, 15 years.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So they'll just say,
Yeah.
okay, that's okay.
So Mayor, you're envisioning, realistically, in the not too distant future, we'll see, 24th Street and Country Club from 24th to 37 widened.
The goal long term is to widen the country club bridge to a 4 lane, and then 4 lane from there to 37. Once we get south of the interstate, we actually do have adequate right of way to widen the 4 lanes down to 16th Street. Now, the people on the west side of Country Club, it's going to be very close to their front door, some of them, but that easement is already in place. So we have adequate easement to get down to 16th Street. We have easement from 16th all the way along Windermere to potentially do a 3 lane without acquiring additional easement. And then we can't get all the way to 130. So the goal short term, I think, needs to be if we can somehow get the Country Club bridge replaced and get a 4 lane at least to 16th Street. Because we all know that the traffic is crazy on Country Club already. And if we can get that and make it so much safer for people before that hospital starts, or gets open, which is, about 4 years from now. So, I don't know whether we'll get there from here in 4 years, but we'll be moving that way. But long term, that's going to become a major artery for people to get to the hospital. They can take Country Club and they can come in down on the west side of the hospital rather than having to come down 62. So long term, we need Country Club to be able to handle that level of traffic safely. And
Carl, I thought short term even, you said that short term, but I'm talking about from 24th to 37th on Country Club.
Oh, north.
You're right.
Isn't that near, I mean?
Yes, yeah, that's like I said, from 37 down to just north of, through the 24th intersection. Okay. Basically, that was what we originally planned as being the first project along there. Until we started working with OTA, and OTA said, we're going to replace this bridge. You guys need to do your 24th Street project to coincide with our bridge replacement, because that road is going to be closed.
So we're going to focus on 24th Street before even going north on Country Club.
Yeah, 24th, like Kevin says, about a $2.9 million project. Now we hope to be able to get some savings because it's got a very nice slope, and we'll be able to utilize the existing road bed, and we'll be able to do a lot of that work with city crews to do the base for that road. And so that will save us, hopefully, if we have the time to do that, and we can't find funding otherwise to build that. Country Club, we had planned on doing that, but it's so flat that they could not get the drainage. They could get it over to the edges of the road, but north-south, they couldn't get it over to an inlet. So we won't be able to totally utilize that base like we are going to be able to on 24th. So it's between $6 and $7 million for the Country Club project. So that's a lot. So we're taking, Country Club is engineered. 24th is not. We're engineering 24th now. So we get 24th engineered, get ready, and we get that thing constructed so that whenever the overpass is open, 24th is open.
Is that like half a mile, 3/4 of a mile?
No, 24, about 3/4.
Yeah, from the bridge.
And so as we do 24th, we're actually going, you may have seen an easement from the Over family. They gave us an excess of 300-foot easement to go further past Country Club with a 4 lane, so that intersection will be 4 lane in entirety. So with the 24th Street project, we'll go ahead and do that as part of that project and get that intersection widened. And we are, we're beating every bush possible to try to find funding to help us with Country Club. If we can get funding from other sources, we'll move forward with that as well. But that's something we just can't take on right now without saying the B word, B-O-N-D word, which we don't want to necessarily do that right now, so,
Wonder where you going with that?
yeah, so anyway, so that's, we're hoping we can get funding through multiple, we're looking at multiple different options to get funding for that stretch down to, past 24th and actually inclusive of our requested share of the cost of replacement of that country club bridge.
Is, so you're saying that by doing this, are we gonna start on 24th this fiscal year? Just finish the engineering and?
Yeah, the engineering will have to be completed first, and that's already covered by budget. I mean, we've already budgeted for that, but,
Okay.
so, and that, when they actually gave us a proposal to engineer 24, I think it was a 12 to a 14-month engineering period. So we still have a little ways to go on that, but it'll be done probably pretty close to about the time that we need to start work on the road.
And we already have all the right of way that we need to build the road in there. Generous landowners have provided this right of way through there.
Yeah.
Where our engineers and the city staff are working with OTA's engineers to make sure everything lines up with the connection from where they come off of the overpass. They'll come off the overpass. They're going to do a realignment of that access road coming from the north, and then there'll probably be signalization there, because that will be the way that you'll get back on I-44 going south. You'll come over the bridge to the west side of the bridge, and then get on a ramp going south on I-44. Really?
That'll.
They're just
Oh,
getting
it's an
rid of those.
on-ramp, not an exit.
Yeah, they're getting rid of
It's not free for there, because it's an on-ramp, not an exit.
Right, and if you're coming northbound wanting to get off at Newcastle, instead of doing the loop, you'll just exit to the right, and you'll come out right west of the Lowe's.
Yeah, okay.
So they're getting rid of both of those loops that they have right now to the north.
Not just the bridge, almost a new interchange there.
Yeah, it's a half interchange.
We're still gonna have the back road. Well, I call it back road, yeah. With the back, and he's right, it's difficult to.
And
There's a lot of shortages there.
that west side access road, the east side access road will be completely shifted over quite a bit. The west side access road, we're going to straighten it up a little bit and move it over the north edge of it a tick. It won't be relocated near as far over as the east side will.
Okay.
But they will do a little bit of adjustment to it, and it'll straighten up some of those tight curves, very tight.
Right. So it won't be the back road, then?
No, but anyway, I say all that. Some people say I talk too much, but,
No, it's good.
we've got a lot on our plate moving forward that we really need to make sure we stick a little money back to try to address. And like I said a month or two ago when we talked about this stuff, we're going to have to push some of these projects we'd like to do off and do the have to do's, and then come back. And when we think about these things, with the city's project, with our commercial property there, we already have interest in some retail sales tax generators to go there. We know just south of the Papa John's up there, that development's moving forward that Sam Patel's doing. He's got some retailers on the hook for a part of that. We've got several other developments in that hopefully within the next year and a half, we'll get some sales tax generators in. And so that will then help us hopefully be able to have money to finish these projects and then get on these ones that we're skipping over right now.
Now, let me back up on the Walker bridges, to come in and understand where the city bridges are, and what the main function will be. Walker, we talked about taking it from where it dead ends now, going over to northwest of 16th Street.
Correct. Northeast, yes.
Northeast.
Yeah, northeast. And is that bridge C to get it to that point?
No, there's 3 bridges to cross that half mile. There's 3 bridges.
Okay, so right now we have an issue with traffic backing up. I realize, that's a safety issue for me, backing up on Main Street. And I was hoping if we got Walker built, it would alleviate some of that and take some of that stress off that area.
Right.
It will, but we feel that, yes, it's not good, and that's our goal, but there's no way we can buy off all 3 bridges and replace the road in 1 year.
I understand that.
So we're doing 1 bridge this year. Hopefully we'll do 1 or 2 next year, depending on what funding looks like. but we can't, there's no way we can conceivably do them all this year. It's just too much. We will, if things work as we anticipate, that Walker Street will be done well before the nation opens their hospital facilities, which will be the primary increase of traffic generation on Highway 66.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, it will be, moving like this, taking these small bites, if it was a straight road, we'd have it built already. These bridges are incredibly costly.
Yes.
And so, we just can't dump that much money into one road, half-mile road project, with everything else we've got going on, that are, like I said, have to do to meet the requirements of the current law.
Is there an option of using them? And I don't even know if they even have any more beams left.
We already have the beams for all three bridges secured, and they are already been delivered. So, are they all up here or are they still counties?
Beams are here.
Okay, so we got all the beams for all bridges.
Yeah, and all materials have been purchased for the big bridge at this point. It's supposed to be delivered this week. But yes, all beams for all three bridges have been delivered.
So the only thought I have is obviously we need to do what we're doing, like I fully agree. It's just that these chip seal maintenance ones especially, for streets to be really cognizant of. I think the biggest issue that people will have with not doing it is that they've got some big holes or some big things that need to be repaired. If they're not going to go in and do it with chip seal, that we stay on top of at least getting the big chunk holes if they're there, because we're not going to be able to do those with the project. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, chip seal's not a repair. Chip
no, I
seal is
know, but when they do that though, they still go in if there's any they're gonna have to correct it. And like I've had some people in Spring Lake that were like, oh, this is great because we've got some pretty big holes there and they'll fix those before they chip seal. Well, yeah, then they still need to be, addressed. We're not gonna get to.
Are you talking about 16?
No, it was some spots in Spring Lake that somebody mentioned, and I'm trying to remember which street it was they mentioned. It might have been the washout at Spring Lake Road and Quail Run. Anyway, just that at least we'll be staying on top of it like we normally do from streets departments.
Yes, right, that's what we do. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I'm gonna be able to say. Well, they'll still, if you've got pothole issues, they'll still be able to do those. They're just not gonna put any black chips in it.
And I know that I talked to Kevin a little bit and Carl talked about it a little bit on 16th Street, on 24th Street and on Country Club. We're using, sounds to me like we're using beaver slide in a way for a curb cut inlets and not installing curbs inlets and sell it.
I've seen the plans, you've seen the design on that.
All I know is it's flumes that go to the drainage ditch.
Which makes me curb cut inlets, curb openings basically, and then paved ditches going down to the ditch. Do we know what have we got a cost analysis using curb inlets versus these and what the cost and what it's going to cost to come back 20 years from now or 15 years from now and replace those with curb inlets?
Why would we?
I've seen roads with them in, I've seen issues with them. Eventually they create an issue. If you have to come back, you're cutting out a lot more pavement and having to replace it back. Put those in.
I-7 has inlets along the highway, even though it's part of it.
Right. It has part of it.
DOT, but it has inlets, curb inlets and engineered that way with inlets, and it flows into the bar ditch from there. So there's no opening, there's no weir or no flume.
To go down into the ditch, yeah.
Maybe either an accident or maybe a weakening in the curb, but I haven't seen the plan either. I don't know. That'd be a question for the engineer to ask why you wouldn't do something similar to that that's along 37.
Now, I know it's probably cost, but I don't know what the difference in the cost is.
I don't know either, but that was a major concern when we looked at going out to engineer these, is how we were going to handle drainage and drainage was going to be incredibly expensive to do it.
Oh yeah, sometimes would be outrageous. I don't have a problem using the curb inlets and the short pipe to get in the ditch.
That's a lot of cost.
But it prepares it for the future, if there is a use for a change in the future.
But like I said, I don't know what the reason would be to change in the future. We won't be widening those streets.
Well, we say that. But, I mean, but we also,
Yeah, I don't know what the elevations look like down through there either.
Yeah,
It's probably very flat, right?
Yeah, very flat.
It's hard, probably from an engineering standpoint, we'd have to ask, it's probably difficult to get it, even get over to it.
Well, they have no problem, they can crown the road and get it to the edge. The problem was getting it to go north and south, to get to one of those plumes.
On Country Club.
On Country Club.
24th, we don't have that.
24th, no problem.
yeah, 24 strange back toward Lowe's.
Yes.
Not to the turnpike.
So it's a very good,
They want it to sit in the bar ditch, right,
Like it does on the highway now.
along Western up on City, south of Old City there.
Yeah, right, same thing. It's pond, those ditches are ponds that hold it. I'm just curious, I mean, it's, I don't prefer curb cuts versus curb inlets. That's the preference.
all righty. I'll get back to item number 7A. So we'll take each one of these individually, as parks are vacating there. So item number 7A, Walker Drive Bridges A and B.
Motion approved, item 7A.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 7A.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, yes, Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 7B, Bradford 1, 2, 3 overlay.
Motion to approve, item 7B.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 7B.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, yes, Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 7C, South Bay Avenue North, widening asphalt conversion.
Motion approved, item 7C.
Yes. All right. Second.
Motion second for approval of 7C.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, yes, Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 7D, South and 16th Riverview Bay Avenue, widening asphalt conversion.
Motion approved, item 7D.
Second.
Motion second to approve item number 7D.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, yes, Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 7E, 10 mile chip and seal maintenance, numerous roads.
Motion approved, item 7E.
Second.
Motion second for approval item number 7E.
Gene Reed,
Yes.
Todd DeMeco,
Yes.
Mike Fullerton,
Yes.
Marcy White, yes, Carl Nell.
Yes. Item number 8, city manager's comments.
I kind of feel like that's really our main issues right now, our main things that we're considering, of course, the water side, all the projects are, water with the hospital coming in, the roads as far as OTA. Everything else is right now is primarily just normal everyday work that our people are doing, and whether it's overlay projects or whatever it may be. I would like to take this time though, just for a quick second, and she's already left. I was hoping I could catch her before she did, and acknowledge Janae, here in the meeting and publicly and I've never done that. I typically don't do that in public, tell employees every single day at work, when they're doing a fantastic job, but she has her hands completely full. I mean, just the work that she has to contend with in her department back there is just unbelievable because of all the building, of course, and the growth that we're experiencing. And I am glad that we have her in a position that she's in for the work that she does because, and on top of that, on top of all of the building permits and dealing with developers and doing the city's development for us and working with the engineers and the firms, and she still makes the time to amend ordinances, which we've needed for a long, long time in different areas, as you've probably heard the mayor say for a long time, but still makes that time to do those amendments to those ordinances, and she has probably, I couldn't tell you how many she has done since she's been here, but she gets them done quickly, and no fail, she is there. Right now, there's some things that, some personal issues, things that she's dealing with, and the lady's here tonight. And regardless of whether she is or not, if it's all possible, she will also take that computer home and still work to keep things moving. And if she didn't, I'm telling you. We've seen it before in the past with when we only had a single planner and not an apartment back there. But if she did not take that home, if she didn't do the things that she does, and it's all selfless, she's selfless in what she does, we'd be in trouble. And I just want to bring that out, but I appreciate very much what she does. That's all I have.
All right. Item number 9, council member comments.
I was gonna say 4th of July celebration was fabulous. I don't know if you got any reports on how many people.
6,100
It was great.
is what we showed.
I was there for a couple hours. I don't think I was as long as some, but it was just amazing. The band was phenomenal. I was like, wow, these people are really good. The whole thing was it was good. It was hot, but people were happy to be there. I had the most family. Like, some of my family I never thought would go to anything were there, and I was like, wow. Like, people are, they're enjoying it. I heard not one negative comment other than, boy, it's hot out here, and that's okay to say. But everyone loved it. Absolutely loved it. So kudos to everyone. That took the whole team, I know.
We had good rain. The park was looking great.
Mm-hmm.
Probably best it's ever looked in recent memory on the 4th of July.
Yeah, my nephew's little girlfriend made like $700 on little stuffed crocheted animals. She was just one of the big. Yeah, she makes candy. She's real good. But she stayed open until I asked her. I thought she closed, like 7 or something. She stayed open all the way till the fireworks were done, and people were going through there buying stuff. So
that's great. Yeah, quite a few good.
Yeah, the Parks Department, everybody did a great job.
They did.
I know I talked to Toby, maybe we should rotate, not let him be in the dunk tank the whole time. So maybe we should take, I don't know, maybe we should volunteer. I will, maybe I'll go in it next year once. I don't know. We'll see.
You can represent city council.
I don't mind. I'll do that.
Good idea.
I'll take one. The new guy. Yeah.
Kevin, I'd like to echo your comments for Janae. It's been night and day. I'll even go back 12, 15 years to now. The one thing that marks her professionalism are the staff reports for each of the issues that we come. I go to them first and kind of last. That's excellent. So, and her proactiveness and everything. But I'll also expand that to you and your effort. When you think of parks, streets, all the departments, we're very fortunate in Newcastle, how our city is managed and how our city is run. So I appreciate that. Kudos to you. And then just a question, when I'm not in a hurry to see it happen, I just don't know, but how long will it take to get street signs changed for those speed limits, those east and west roads? I know that's not an overnight thing. That requires, do our people have to do all that?
They will, and they've been ordered.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Takes a little time to get those in.
Yeah.
Right. And then the only thing I pick up, and this is not judgmental because I don't know what to ask for, but I just hear it a lot in coffee shops and other places. They just see people abusing our red lights, stop lights, and I just trust your judgment, but I continue to push just whatever we can do to observe those intersections and see if we can slow some of those abusers down who fly through red lights in our city.
By loves is the worst. You could die if you don't watch.
Yeah, you got 2 seconds.
At 10th Street, I mean, and you can't police everything, so I trust your judgment. But just one crying in the wilderness, anything we can do to keep the pressure on that, I think people would kind of enjoy seeing a lot. If it's not me, I wouldn't like to see it, but to see someone catch someone.
And speaking of that too, I don't know if everybody, just real quick, if everybody saw the post today that we're going to be installing speed bumps out here.
I did.
That's a great idea.
I jumped too quickly, and John didn't jump quick enough. They got the speed bumps in; those came in, but he has to order all of the hardware to actually install those in the street. So those are just a couple of days behind.
So you get those on Amazon, where you get speed bumps.
Yeah.
Amazon.
I hope you got the Amazon promotion week.
Prime, it's Prime days.
Yeah. No, it's through Uline. That's where we get our
No, I'm excited to see that, because, you know, I was driving, I got through here today, and I was like, it is 20 right here, Marcy. I don't know if I noticed that today. I was today years old, and I was like, it's not 25, it's 20.
It's so difficult to see walkers and any pedestrian traffic or cyclists or whatever when they're coming down that pavement, especially as it goes to get dusk of the evening, kind of like it is now. They blend in with the grass, they blend in with trees, you can't hardly see them. Now, I was thinking about it too, because I saw comments on that post. We want to get lights, of course, up and down 10th Street. We want to get lights around the trails at some point. All very expensive.
Sure.
But I'd really like to check in to see what it would cost us to go ahead and put in a light or two at these crosswalks at least. If they can get power there, hopefully it wouldn't be too expensive. But
Where they push the button, or
no, street lights.
oh, street light, just just for
Something to light it up.
Yeah.
So,
Like ideally we'd want the whole way, but those crosswalks in particular.
yes,
Good thing, Bill, for it.
Mm-hmm.
that's all I have again.
Any other council member comments?
I'll just repeat what I did last month. We've got to look at our ditches and how the contractors, the builders are installing those pipes. When they're 6 inches in the ground, 4 to 6 inches in the ground, that's leaving the water standing in the pipes. And I know we've got some discussion on changing that, on the types of pipes, and I just don't feel like I haven't seen any change yet in our builders. And hopefully in the future I will see some of those changes, but I haven't yet. And if they can't install a concrete pipe or a metal pipe correctly, how can we trust them to install like a plastic pipe? In the future. And there's certain requirements that those pipes have to, they're not installing them correctly now. So I have some issues with that. And we're going to push, the city's going to push back on the homeowner, and they're taking possession of it day one with a pipe already buried in the ground. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah, from, my perspective, I know where that boundary line is, right? So you know where that property line is, as long as it's not a private street or an easement or something, but that section of pipe and driveway is actually in the right of way if you take a normal subdivision with a dedicated street. And then the builder's out in a year, right? They're out, warranty's gone, maybe they're still building, but they're not liable to fix anything, responsible to fix anything. So I had seen a video last week of a pipe that came up, was buried about 6 inches below grade. So the 18-inch pipe was 6 inches less. The water backed up down the driveway towards the house, flooded the house. So comes around the driveway, back around to the bar ditch, but doesn't get all the way through the pipe. The pipe can't handle it anymore.
What we found in most of the instances is they're installing those pipes correctly, but it's silting in before it's sodded and before they finish construction. And so one of the things that Kevin's done and Janae's done is that's a check that before we give a occupancy permit, that's one of the things that we'll be checking now. We're not going to shoot grade on pipes. We can't do that. No city does that to make sure the grade's there. But from the time they put the pipes in to the time that they request the occupancy permit, they're silt in, and you end up with those pipes that weren't buried getting buried because there's no vegetation in any of that. And when half the housing development is washing in around, those pipes tend to get buried. So the city is going to try to do a better job of, before we give that occupancy permit, making sure that drainage has been maintained and drainage is still adequate, like it was when we approved it.
And they have to sign off on, the builder will have to sign off on the form that says that their horn and their ditch are set to grade.
Well, do we have any erosion control standards set, or is it just expected? You can put a silt fence up and stick a hay bale there, and you can do something to catch that silt from going up into that pipe. Do we have anything in our typical section for that driveway?
Mm-hmm. They do, they actually require that. It's, but there's a lot of things that's required that don't always get done.
Yeah.
And there was, Janae has emails and things of that nature, in particular with the builder over in Oakmont, where that stuff was required, And he was told multiple times to get those silt fences, everything put in place, and he didn't. So that's what caused the problem.
But once it's 2 years down the road and that thing's half full and the builder's gone, then it's just us and the homeowner. So who, well, but it's also the right of way.
But our ordinance require that the homeowners maintain the
I get it, but I mean, technically it's not the homeowner's property. They enjoy the benefit of it. Their driveway's in the right of way. We own the right of way.
But it's their responsibility. I mean, well, that's what I'm wondering, when they're signing off with, well, because I had a question about, along the same lines, is that's the step they're taking when the house is done and they get occupancy. What happens with, before we sign off on maintenance bonds in instances like drainage and things like that? Like, are we looking at that same stuff before we sign off on maintenance bonds? And I know this is bad, I don't remember, but do maintenance bonds come to us, or they just go administratively through planning commission?
No, they just go through the planning department.
That's what I am saying.
Yeah, and they're put on consent agenda, or they may even be an item in some cases, but.
I'm just trying to think how we keep another bridge from happening, but then I'm thinking it's not really reasonable to say if they signed off to get the occupancy, and then we get to the point of signing off on a maintenance bond, if the homeowner's gone back and done something, and like buried them, all
additional bonds.
Right, like, can't exactly hold the developer liable for that, but if the homeowner went and did something after they signed off and got occupancy of their home, right?
Which in that case, I believe it becomes a civil matter between the builder and the homeowner. Because we do have homeowners out there that will come in and fill in those ditches because they want to mow a flat yard.
And it's not really something we can go back to the developer for if it happened after, or the builder for, because if they signed off, everything was good and we gave occupancy, now it's the homeowner. But what if okay, so you mean it's a civil issue between the neighbors getting flooded by them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If they're not maintaining their drainage.
And what we've had a lot is, almost all of our additions with any slope whatsoever have drainage swales between homes.
Mm-hmm.
That your neighbor up above you, the water off him is going to run across you between your house and your neighbor to get somewhere.
Yes.
It's not all caught, it doesn't all run to the front of the house and caught in the ditch and go somewhere. A lot of this runs between lots.
Right.
And so then
it's made to do so.
It's designed to do so. And so then people get in, they want to put a shed back there, they want to do this, that, and the other, and they make that nice and flat. And they put and so pretty soon, you're showing all that water someplace it wasn't designed to go. We have no idea that happens until, lo and behold, somebody's screaming that the cities need to do something because they're getting flooded. Well, that's a civil matter too, because that neighbor that filled that in, he's the one that altered the drainage and has caused the issue on the other neighbor.
Because the city is not the one going in and putting stuff in there. It's somebody else.
Yeah.
Are we working up the wrong way?
No, it's all good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just things that have come up that, and I was just wondering, but a lot of that isn't going to be helped with signing off on a maintenance bond, and it's way back.
The ridge is a totally different deal. It's not.
Yeah,
the ridge is totally different.
I wonder how many of our residents know of their accountability, responsibility. It probably is vague in a lot of people's mind. We've seen it through some of our issues here, but
A lot of people don't even realize it.
so I don't know. You couldn't solve it with just one story or whatever, but maybe maybe Mark could maybe do an interview or something like that. He could do a little publicizing that, because a lot of us don't know our accountability. Just a term someone just said a little while ago, the homeowner is responsible for their easement, for the right of way. And most people are going to go mow that and everything like that, but I don't know, maybe more clarification like that would help.
Like ignorance is no excuse for the law, but we might be able to give them a little information just to help them along.
Shockingly enough, I know this is going to hurt cause feeling, but most people don't pay a lot of attention to all the surveys when they buy a home.
That's a stab to your heart.
Residential survey is not a survey, it's mortgage inspection. It says all over it, it's not a survey. And I'm required by law not to put certain things on it so it doesn't appear as a survey. And they're really not. So, yeah, the most majority of people don't know that their property line on a standard lot stops at a certain point, right? And that their driveway, and they're mowing 12 feet or whatever that is, maintaining 12 feet that's really not even theirs. They ask about it when Pioneer comes out and starts digging up the front yard,
Sure.
right? And starts laying out a transformer. But I do see, I mean, that's their driveway in the right of way. That's their pipe. What they really need to start doing is inspecting that pipe before taking possession of the house, before they close. And that should be something they should work out with the builder. One way to do it would be to walk that property, walk that pipe. Nobody probably thinks about walking to see if that's clear or not. You know, inspectors have plenty to do. I don't know if they're catching it right. It could be half silted up the day.
Well, that's
close
what
and
the
move in.
window occupancy, that's when we, they're looking at that now.
We actually, well, right now. So, and then who's responsible if it's half full? The builder, right?
We don't have an occupancy permit until they
It needs to be cleaned out. So, the other thing is that they do the proper end treatment. You know, saw one in my neighborhood that didn't have the 4-to-1 concrete end slopes on. It's been there for a while. Just got missed, right? And the builder didn't do it. So,
Nobody did it in my neighborhood,
What is it? The what?
4-to-1 end slope on the pipe, concrete treatment.
Gotcha.
Supposed to be a 4-to-1. So things just get missed. But the buyer should be aware of some of those things. Just like I said, mortgage inspection, it's not a survey. People don't think of that. They think it is a survey. Start planning their fence day one and then move in with it.
The problem that and why I keep harping on this is because if that ditch fills up and it backs up and the water gets underneath the subgrade, it's going to damage the road. I mean, we know a lot of developers don't pack and build their subgrade like they should. At least I don't feel like they do, like we see in other projects in the world. I just don't want us to get stuck paying the bill to repave a road that we could have resolved years ago. And that's the issue I got. Is I don't want to waste, we're having to spend a lot of money on different roads that we need fixed, and we got brand new roads, 15 years old. It should be 25, 30 years before they have
Well, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a hard situation. So you have a driveway with a tin horn in it. The tin horn is my responsibility as a homeowner. But from the tin horn to the next tin horn in the right of way ditch, it's the city's responsibility to keep clean.
No,
Not at all.
homeowner.
Both homeowners in clean, even though it's a bar ditch for the street.
That's correct. Keep that bar ditch maintained.
Yeah, I bet people have no idea.
There are probably people who think they're not allowed to dig that ditch.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know.
I've seen 3 or 4 of them here lately that's been doing it. I don't know if they want to do it.
I'm probably facetious, but I'm just saying there's probably people that don't know
Sure.
that I'm actually supposed to do that.
Well, we're going to wrap this up because we've gone way out of bounds on council comments. So we'll any other council member comments on anything other than that?
Way to go, Mike.
All right. Item number 11 is adjustment, or is adjournment.
No, that's not on.
That's
Just
not-
keep for that.
Yeah, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen.